It happened one winter morning on Plum Street, and the moon was still up, making moonbeams and shadows all along Plum Street. In the little white house, Mrs. Bear and Sam were baking cakes. They stirred with a big spoon, and they swirled the tasty batter, and they peeked in the oven at 2 rows of cakes, golden brown cakes, for their friends on Plum Street. Come on, Cakes, whispered Sam. I can't wait, I can't wait, I can't wait. Mrs. Bear said, Sam, wait for those cakes. Now, can we go, Mama? Now, I want to go now, Mama, Sam said. Soon, Mrs. Bear said. Soon, Sam. They waited, and then, at last, Mrs. Bear sniffed into the air. With her nose in the air, she said, I believe the cakes are ready. Mrs. Bear and Sam counted the cakes. There were 12. They tucked them in the bags, and the 12 red bags were ready to go. Outside, the snow tumbled on the houses and sprinkled on the trees. It powdered the yard and Mrs. Bear's truck. Mrs. Bear and Sam climbed in the truck. The truck was green. They bumped along the early light, just the 2 of them, on Plum Street, uphill and downhill to the very end of Plum Street. Our friends that we love will leave them cakes, Sam told his mama. Of course, said Mrs. Bear. Mrs. Bear pulled up close to the first sleepy house. Here we are, Sam. I'll wait for you here. You can take the cake. All by myself, whispered Sam. Go, said Mrs. Bear. And she put her arms around Sam and said, You can do it, Sam. And off he went, all by himself, in the new snow, all by himself, waving his red bag and waving to Mrs. Bear, all by himself, taking cakes to their friends. Sam left the red bag at the door, and the sign on the bag said, Tasty Surprise inside. Then he ran back to the truck where his mama was waiting. I did it, said Sam. Of course, Mrs. Bear said. Mrs. Bear and Sam bumped along Plum Street, just the 2 of them, up the hill and down the hill, up and down, to each sleepy house. Miss Bear stopped her truck. She put her arms around Sam. Here I go, whispered Sam. Go, Mrs. Bear said, and off he went, making tracks in the new snow, waving his red bag and waving to Mrs. Bear, leaving 1 tasty cake at each sleepy door, all by himself. Until they got home, there were 2 cakes left in 2 red bags. Said Mrs. Bear. For us, whispered Sam. Of course, Mrs. Bear said. Mrs. Bear and Sam held hands on the path to the little white house, and the sun was just shining up, and the little white house looked good. Hello, house, said Sam, and they went inside, kicking the snow off their boots. Mrs. Bear poured cocoa in the cups, and they wiggled their toes in their socks and enjoyed their cakes and cocos, and their bellies were full and tasty warm treats were inside. They took turns telling stories about a bear called Sam who takes cakes all by himself to his friends, and they all loved his cakes so much. That's what happened one winter day on Plum Street. Red Rover, my book is now over.